Hi, everybody, and welcome very much to the first of our chart chats. My name's Frank Clifford. I'm here with Suzanne Gerber. Hi, Suzanne. It's great to have you here.
It's such an honor to be doing this with you, Frank. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. Can you tell us where people can find you, your website?
They can Google my name, Suzanne Gerber, but my website is starsandstoneshealing.com.
Yeah.
And I also have a Facebook group. It's a private group, but anybody can join. And that's Soul Purpose Astrology on Facebook.
Well, a lot of us know you from your summits that you've been doing over the past few years as well. You've been gathering a lot of interesting names and topics and places. Now, today we're going to be looking at a chart that's been submitted, and we want to encourage Mountain Astrologer readers to submit more over the months, and hopefully we'll tackle quite a few as we get into the groove, into the rhythm of this. And the first one we're going to call M. And 16th of January, 65, and we've got the details here on the chart. And before I open this up, Suzanne, I just want to say that for me, what's really striking about this chart is the amount of earth in it. We've got this wonderful Capricorn energy here with the Virgo planets, that fiery combination that was the mid, that really highlighted or pinpointed the mid 60s, plus Jupiter in Taurus as well. So I was looking at this chart a little bit earlier and really feeling it was hugely Earth. There's a tremendous amount of Capricorn, which we'll talk about, no doubt. And we've also got a fair amount of water with that beautiful moon in Cancer just before the full moon. And then we have this very dynamic cardinal axis of the all four angles being in cardinal signs and Aries rising. What were your first impressions of the chart, Suzanne?
Well, a lot of what you just said, Frank, because that's exactly what I do. I want to look at the big picture before I go in and let my Virgo moon get real granular with things. But yeah, it's hard to miss the cardinal on the angles, all the cardinality in the chart with all the Capricorn, the moon in Cancer, cardinal rising, of course, making her triple cardinal. Lots of earth, of course, water, and strikingly, no air. No air. I think it's very significant. And as I often will teach, when you see an absence of an element, quickly glance at the North Node. It is uncanny how often we will find the North Node in the same element as something that's missing in in a chart or virtually missing, as if it's to say, there's a reason for this. Don't worry, don't worry. And then similarly, almost no fire except for that powerful Aries ascendant. And you're going to do another variation of this chart in a minute where you're going to put in a couple other things at my request. And that's going to double emphasize that Aries ascendant. So what we're really looking at is a very cardinal and yet a very yin chart. Somebody with a lot of ambition, a lot of drive, a lot of goals, and you just think, gosh, this person's going to be wildly successful in their career, right? We've got this, like you were pointing out, strong Capricorn, Capricorn on the MC, powerful sixth house, the natural chart with Virgo there, the ruler, with the Aries ascendant, the ruler Mars goes right there, empowered by those other generational planets in Virgo. And this is going to be somebody with great success in their career. And it's going to be interesting because they submitted a question to you along with the chart. And I find it very almost ironic.
Well, that's a good time for me to share that. M says, when I look at my life and my chart, I can't understand why I've had no solid career and within that not really achieved something. And as an aside, it's interesting when somebody says they haven't achieved something, isn't it, Suzanne? Because it may be from a different point of view that other people feel they've done a tremendous amount. But maybe with the Aries and the Capricorn, it's never enough, or there are big plans, big goals as well. There appears to have had, M continues, quite a scattered approach to my pathway. When I look back, I see that all my efforts get derailed by external circumstances. I've many talents, accomplishments, interesting, and hard-won qualifications. So we're hearing that achievement already. But every time I settle to something and think, right, this is it, it isn't. I suddenly have to find a different way to survive. It's almost as if the party starts and I have to leave. I think Capricorns often talk about that as well. My mum used to say that too. For example, the NHS, which is the health service in England, gave loads of freebies to my older two siblings, but when my mum asked for the same for me, she was told, "Oh, they've stopped those now." So that was the comment we got from M, and that I think that's quite revealing. What's your feeling about that?
As soon as I hear that, Frank, I want to go on a search for what is it? What seems to have thwarted this very, it would seem, very competent person, very focused, very driven person who talks kind of speaking her chart, right? The ambitions, the desire, the cardinality, the emphasis on 6 and 10. Um, but not being able to and ascribing the causes to things outside of her. So I want to understand, what is it? What is the block? And that's why I asked you if you would drop in a couple other, you could call them planets, points, other objects. I just really call them archetypes because they're just representing energies and potentials within ourselves. And what you just dropped in, can you highlight that for people, Frank, just
Yeah,
in case
yeah.
they
So,
couldn't follow what was different?
so you tell me which ones, and I'll do that. Yes.
That's well, right away, we see that Eris
Yeah.
is smack on the ascendant, right? Less than 1 degree away. It's rising. It's a lens, it's a filter that she sees the world through, that she may be seen through. It's at 10 Aries. We've noticed that her moon is at 10 Cancer. Beautiful moon, right? Domicile, accidentally exalted in the 10th house. It's also out of bounds, if people know what that is. It's farther than the normal declination from the sun. So this moon, while seemingly traditional and maybe old-fashioned and family-oriented, it's got a mind of its own, and it's going to do its own thing. And it's in a partile almost to the minute square with that feisty, fierce Eris, which to me kind of doubles her firepower because she doesn't have a lot. So we want to find it for her so that she can initiate, so that she can put herself first when it's necessary. And then you've also dropped in the Black Moon Lilith, which of course is a point in space. It's not the asteroid, it's not the dark moon, which is very rarely spotted, and yet there's an ephemeris for it. It's Black Moon Lilith. And when you look at where she lands, it's almost like we chose this chart for this reason. It's also at 10 degrees of a cardinal sign. And that forms the T square. It's a T square, it's partile, it's cardinal. They're in angular houses, and they all have to do with facets of feminine power and expression. And to me, I feel like this T squares are going to be energy that doesn't have an easy natural outlet for its expression. It can get caught up, it can turn inward. That Eris is power and anger, but it's because she's trying to right injustices. That Lilith is, hey, you may be a Capricorn, you may be a strong Capricorn, but you've got your own ideas about things. You have things that want to be expressed that maybe don't fit into a traditional paradigm. And it's very, very prominent next to those planets. It really does form a three-way conjunction with them in her career house. When we reconcile the blocked energy of squares, we have so much power available to us. But when we stay kind of under their thumb and we feel thwarted and frustrated, and like you said, Capricorn can be And apologies to the optimistic Capricorns out there, but they tend to be a little waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Whatever happens, yeah, well, we'll see if we can keep that up. I always think of it as kind of an Eeyore energy, never quite satisfied. And so that to me is a big piece of it. I just want to say one other thing. We're looking at that career and we're trying to find clues. What else could be thwarting this super talented, um, hardworking, diligent, responsible person? And her career, the MC, which has Capricorn on it. Capricorn, of course, is ruled by Saturn. So we're going to look to her Saturn for more insight into that career. It's at 2 Pisces. It's in the 12th house. Pisces is intercepted in the 12th house. Isn't it? I'm trying to remember because yeah, it's intercepted. This is a tough place for that Saturn to really get traction in a career and make his mark in the world. He goes, in a manner of speaking, into hiding. And here's the other extra bonus thing that I asked you to drop in. It's the centaur Nessus. Some people more and more people, I think, are becoming familiar with some of these centaurs. I chose him specifically because he is creating a partile square to that Saturn, and he's retrograde. And Nessus can represent, now, whether or not this woman had this experience in her early childhood, I would think it was reinforced. This could easily be something from a carryover from a previous life. She might not have an experience, conscious experience of being treated unfairly. Nessus in the extreme is really quite nasty, but not everybody has that kind of experience in a lifetime. But it's some kind of power play, some kind of test dynamics of being treated unfairly, of having her own power usurped. And because it's in her second house of resources, squaring Saturn, which represents career, I think there's further tension that can be experienced as coming from outside of us. The centaurs, all of them, most notably Chiron, really aren't about things. They're about shifting our awareness to go from I'm fighting the world, it's against me, I'm a victim, bad things happen, to accepting this is our life. This is the hand that we chose to be dealt. How do we want to work with it? And when centaurs are prominent and or activated or activating other planets by transit, that's when I think things happen in the outer world that we can actually start to make big changes.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. That's very interesting. May I ask, because I don't know a huge amount about Eris, what do you feel it says about that Aries ascendant being so close to it?
That's a great question. We can talk and talk and talk about it, but I think bottom line, I wish that Em were here now. And of course, we don't want to put anybody on the spot. She was generous enough to let us, look at her chart. She wants to be, I mean, the implication from the way she put her query, the implication is she wants to be successful. And I love what you said right out of the gate, Frank. I'm sure she was successful in other ways. And that was what I wrote as a note to myself. If I were counseling with her, I would want to ask her to tell me 3 major successes that she's had. I think when it comes to service and people and taking care and nurturing and being the reliable one, how fabulous are those qualities? I think it's not a problem with her in the workplace. It's how she's defining success and achievement. And maybe this lack of what she perceives as career success is really the universe, kind of elbowing her, perhaps gently initially, and perhaps over time it got a little bit more, hard to sit with. The universe is saying, no, not there. There's another thing that you're really here to focus on and to value, to shift your values around this. That's where I look to the North Node. The North Node, the only air, and I don't count Nessus for this, the only air in her chart, and it's the North Node, and it's in Gemini, and it's in Gemini house. This is practically screaming for her to find what her truth is. What is her message? What is it that she wants to communicate to the world? Is it really about career success? I don't think it is. And I think that what's really interesting, and that, that to me goes along with that Eris. I know I'm kind of taking a long way to answer your question. Eris is about expressing true self. It's not feeling like you have to wait for other people to acknowledge you. You do you. And it has a lot and thematically in common with that Black Moon Lilith, which is own your freak. Just stop always. You can be a Capricorn and have a inner freak. Thank God. And when we look at what that nodal axis is doing, it's actually in a grand cross with the Chiron and really all three of these Virgo planets. And this is the challenge in this lifetime, how to integrate that urge to do sacred service in the world, perhaps to heal self. I think this person has a tremendous healing gift to offer to the world. And that Chiron and Pisces in the 12th, along with the career ruler, to really internally find what is your truth. Pisces, the Pisces Chiron is hard, right? Because it's all about, self disillusion, um, not being an ego, not putting oneself first. And yet she's got Eris, an Aries rising. There's got to be a way. It's not just do it unconsciously. It's how can she do it and honor these other qualities in her chart. And that to me is the work, not just, getting to the top of your profession or making X amount of dollars or pounds or euros.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm not using those points. I'm looking at other things. I would look at that Aries and the Capricorn, and it's the reason that they're square is because Aries marches into the office after about 3 hours of working there saying, I can run this, let me sit in the boss's chair. And Capricorn is all about that steady climb to achieve something. Aries wants things now. Capricorn is very happy to wait. Uh, and there's this idea of needing respect. Aries wants to champion the underdog, and Capricorn, in many senses, wants the external respect, the kudos, and for people to notice their contribution. Uh, you mentioned as well that the ascendant ruler here is Mars in Virgo, and it's got that double whammy of being in Virgo's house, the natural house of Virgo, the sixth house. And this really feels like the mission is to serve. And it doesn't mean to be in servitude, which Capricorn and Aries don't want to be. I think it's about how do I make a number of little differences that are absolutely crucial in somebody's life. And maybe that is a good reflection in seeing the little bits that have been accomplished and recognize that they are in themselves important. Yeah, it's very easy when we have planets in Virgo, as you and I know, to sell that bit short, or to say, oh, well, that's, can't everybody do that, or it's not as worth as much. I think Virgo can diminish its ability sometimes, and that Mars in Virgo in the sixth, I think, is has probably a tremendous eye for detail and to do things exceptionally well. So when I think of the Capricorn, we think of always that the authority, the respect, all comes over time. Things take time with Capricorn. The whole journey of Capricorn is so different from the other signs. It doesn't get the opportunities early on that maybe other signs do. There's no nepotism there. With Capricorn, it feels like every single step on the ladder you've earned and you've worked hard to get there. So there's that feeling that great accomplishment takes time. And maybe I always think you don't tend to read this in the books, but I think that Aries is the sign of the workaholic, and it's also one of the perfectionistic signs, along with Virgo and maybe one or two others. And the idea of needing to get it right feels um, paramount here, or the need to do something substantial as Capricorn. And yet, as you've noted with the Pisces and the Virgo, it's in the service, it's in creating something that may appear small, but it perhaps keeps the engine going, and it's an important part of the whole process. Anything else to add about that?
Oh, I love what you said. No, it's great. Also, I feel like Virgo and sixth house, and especially with that Chiron opposition, there could be a little bit of, and I don't mean this in a judgmental way, just as an observation, a little bit of victimhood, right? Things don't work out for me. Something isn't right. Something isn't happening. Other people get it, and I don't get it. Um, Especially the Pluto Chiron. So this is just someone who wants to just things we keep coming back to. Acknowledge what is special about her, what is great. Look at her definitions of success. I would also, if I were working with her, really talk to her about that beautiful grand water trine that she has, right? And she has a grand earth trine, and they each involve a luminary. This is powerful stuff. These are gifts. How is she utilizing them? That water trine involving, a domicile, powerful moon and Neptune and that Chiron. This makes her, I think, so intuitive, so empathetic, so um, really dialed in and in water houses that I feel like, well, questionable about the Neptune. They could debate that one. It's close enough, but it's very watery. And this is her superpower by leaning more toward the earth. I mean, you can't get away from the fact that this is an earth water chart. Moving a little bit away from that earth and all the shoulds and all the rules and all the perfections and all the achieving, how about leaning more into that water of how does it feel? What do you know is true? And giving her that redirect. The eclipses are very interesting for her, aren't they? Just want to mention this quickly. Just we're talking in June, and just this last March, the March 14th, was it the lunar eclipse? Oh, we don't have her part of fortune showing. It's right on her part of fortune. Things are about to change for her, perhaps from thinking about some of the things we're suggesting. Coming up in September on the 7th, the lunar eclipse, it's right off its, yeah, it's a minute. It's right off her Chiron. Is that right? I'm looking over here at my cheat sheet. 1 degree off her Chiron. Something's coming. So stay open to it, right? Don't try to control it. Don't try to direct it. Allow it and use that beautiful, powerful grand water trine to find the message and to figure out what you're being invited to do.
Yeah. Great advice. I also think that sometimes when you look at a chart and you think of Capricorn, you think of the 10th house, then you do automatically read in books about material success and status, etc. And this chart is telling us there's much more to life than that. I also think the fact that Pluto has finally moved out of Capricorn, it might have shifted this need to be the one or to deliver. Yeah? We know that Capricorn is slow, serious, dedicated. As you mentioned earlier, it can sometimes doubt or have negative feelings. Maybe the shift into Aquarius is a bit of the burden lifted, where you can find your tribe in that Aquarian way, the people that share your ideals without necessarily being the one who feels the weight on their shoulders to achieve or to live up to other people's ambitions. And I think that's another key thing with the Capricorn is that particularly with that Mercury on the midheaven in Capricorn, I think part of the journey, and it's always a long journey with Capricorn, is to uh, help separate parental ambitions, what's expected of you, with the things that you truly love to do. And there may be something going on where the idea of achieving this or having some sort of solid uh, confirmation of success and intelligence and achievement, as Em was talking about. Uh, it may be down to parental expectations or needing to prove something to the world. And as you say, now um, with Chiron being activated, and a number of other things in the chart, it may be absolute time to just rewrite that, tear up that script, rewrite it, and be free to follow your own gifts. And look at that Mercury Venus in Capricorn as well. Uh, the value of the voice, the gift of being able to say things beautifully, to write beautifully, Venus and Mercury together. That could be sound healing, it could be painting, it could be helping people structure their months, their days with astrology, if M wants to go down that route.
I love that. And I see that underscored by that North Node in Gemini in the third.
Yes. Yes, indeed, indeed. And that again, that idea of finding the voice and it being um, a multiple voice of many ideas, many things. Yeah. And enjoying that. And I look at that, you think of that chart with the Capricorn as this slow climb and this steady climb, but so many other things in the charts, I think, speak of life being a series of interesting, eclectic experiences, interesting journeys rather than the arrival that Capricorn seems to crave. And maybe the ruler of all the Capricorn stuff, the dispositor, which is Saturn in Pisces, in a way says, let go of the ambition, become what you need to become, and then change that a couple of years from now and be a series of different people with different aims and objectives. Quite a different energy from a simple 10th house Capricorn. Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting as next year Saturn squares that Mercury Venus.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And then the year after that, Neptune. I think M's life is about to really start to unfold for her.
Yeah. Well, that's a lovely note to end on, and I know you mean that in a very positive way. I think it's going to challenge where she wants to be and maybe challenge her thought systems, and to value Venus, different ways of seeing life, and that may be part of the Saturn and Neptune square to the MC, the Mercury, and the Venus. Any final words, Suzanne?
I think it's great. And when I said her life is going to really unfold, the emphasis was on the word really, because as you and I have acknowledged, we are confident that M has achieved some really beautiful, impressive things in her life. It's really about, I think, just shifting how she defines success and what ultimately, forget success, what's going to bring her joy and a real sense of fulfillment. And I do think for her to honor her sixth and 12th of that inner life, and of course, what we were talking about with the Mercury and the North Node in the third, um, and using the gifts of that water going inward to find what she really does want to put out in the world. And I love your idea of like sound healing or voice or something like that. But it is communication doesn't have to be language.
No, no. Well, the Gemini North Node is telling us it can be a whole range of things without ever needing to be defined or pinned down as well. Thank you, Suzanne. I really appreciate that. And I hope that M will give us some feedback, which we'll post at the end of this session as well. Thanks, Suzanne.
I look forward to it.
Me too.